A very good evening to each and everyone out there. Thank you so much for the viewers and the subscribers have been supporting me from day one, which is from 2020 until towards now. I know I've not actually uploaded any video so far. Like I think it has been 9 to 10 months. So I took a very long break to re-strategize my entire YouTube channel itself. So now I have strategized my YouTube channel focus, which is I'm going to focus a lot more on audit, where I'm going to talk a lot on external audit and internal audit topics so that you know what is audit all about in the practical manner and what are the questions that you need to know about audit. So today we have an amazing speaker. Okay. He has been, I would say, a legend in the LinkedIn itself for internal audit. Before we go into the guest speaker for today, I want to share a little bit about myself. So I am Lavanya. I am the ACCA tutor for audit and assurance fundamental level and advanced audit and assurance. So this is my forte. I love teaching audit and I've been actually doing it in a different manner. If you want to know more about me, yeah, please do check out about me in the LinkedIn and how I teach audit in a different manner. So hi sir, how are you doing?
Everything is fine on this part of the world. Everything is fine. The weather is a little bit foggy, but everything is okay. The business is as usual.
Okay.
So everything is fine.
Amazing, sir. So here we have today Mr. Salih, who is not from Malaysia. So he'll be talking about himself, how he started his journey from his work until towards now. What is he currently doing? So go on, talk about yourself because none of us know about you.
Okay. Actually, I'm 53 years old. I completed my entire education in Turkey after studying political science and international relations at university. I did my MBA also. Then my adventure began in the private sector. First, I started my career as an auditor, like yourself, in Arthur Andersen. Then I worked in Turkey's dominant sectors, such as textile, iron and steel, construction, and petroleum. I worked for a very short time in a non-audit position at the other side of the table, other than internal audit, as a finance manager in a major FMCG firm in Egypt. So it was the only position in my entire working life that's where I sit on the other side of the table that time. Finally, now I work in the audit department of a large retail group operating all over the world in a global sense. What I can tell you about myself, I gained my experience in many sectors and different locations in the world in my working life. Learning something never stops. Actually, it never stops. I started working in internal audit profession. Compared to 25 years ago, it is very different now. I mean, when I started this profession, the main focus was on only financial manners, financial operations. But now, audit approach that covers all the company's activities and operations. All the activities are adopted. So even outside of the company related to customers or suppliers are also in the scope of internal audit. After that, what can I say? I have written 2 books about internal audit. One of them is, for me, very important tool for internal auditors about internal audit checklists, because it's one of the major primary tools that we use in our daily work. And my latest book is about complete guide about internal auditors. I explained from A to Z all of the operational audit aspects of the profession. What can I say? This can only say about myself. But lastly, I want to thank you about giving me a chance to transfer my experiences and express myself in your community, in your students, to your students. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much, sir. I think I should be thanking you to accept my offer. I know you are a very busy person. You have a lot of things on your plate, but you still, give me the time to want to share to the students here, not only in Malaysia, but, internationally as well. So let's get started for today's session, sir. So
Sure.
today we are going to have a very casual session where I'm going to ask you questions and you're going to answer the questions. And if you feel that you want to address certain things, for the benefit of the working adults out there and also for the younger generation, you can also address them there. Okay.
Okay.
My
Sure.
very
Sure.
first
Do.
question, sir. Okay. What is the
Okay.
difference between internal auditor versus an external auditor?
Ah, it looks like similar, but there are some major differences between internal audit and external audit. I did both of them, and I'm doing the internal audit part for the last 20 years. But external audits, and the internal audit, two distinct types of audits in organizations. If I can say, external audits are conducted by independent audit firms that are external to the organization or the companies being audited. The primary purpose of external audit, for me, in my opinion, is to provide objective assessment of the accuracy and reliability of the organization's financial statements. External auditors examine financial records, transactions, supporting documentation, and those type of things. They try to give assurance to the banks, to the government, to those type of official entities. The scope of external audit is typically determined by auditing standards and the legal requirements. But on the other hand, internal audits are a little bit different. They are performed by the employees or dedicated internal audit department within the organization. That's us. The internal audit function, it's an independent, objective assurance and consulting service that we give. Internal auditors assess and evaluate organizations' internal controls, risk management processes, and operational efficiency. We don't rely on only financial matters. For us, it is the all operations going on inside the company. It's all within our scope. So we provide recommendations to improve the processes. We don't only examine them. We improve in order to improve the processes. We make recommendations, and the purpose of those recommendations is to improve and also to mitigate if there is a possible risk.
Okay. So just to make it more clear, because those ACCA students, they do have this in their syllabus area. So they always get confused that internal auditors means they only look after internal control system of the company.
No. That's one of our duties to look up the internal control system, but one of our duties is to monitor the company's operation. If, for example, if something goes smoothly, we try to remain that smoothness to be intact in the company. If there is something wrong, we interfere. If there is something, for example, I can say the purchasing operations can go smoothly, and everything is fine there. There is no fraud. There is no nothing. Everything is fine. But 5 people is doing 2 people's job, for example.
Okay.
There is an efficiency problem. So we interfere and we make recommendations to do this, to do that, and to the upper management. We give recommendations how to do the business in a more efficient way. Not only we audit and we control things and stuff like that. The efficiency is also important for us.
Yeah, it's like a consultant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So I have my second question, which is becoming more apparent now, I guess. what are the practical aspects of computer system control, including like the general IT controls and also the
Mhm.
information processing controls?
I see. I see. I mean, IT, we can divide into two parts that you mentioned. One of the, we can say that general IT controls focus on the overall management and governance of an organization, IT environment. And the other one, information processing controls, are a little bit different. These controls specifically focus on the processing, storage, transmission of data within the computer system. So there are two parts. But what do I mean about that? There are IT policies, procedures, practices that ensure the effective and secure operations of IT systems. These we consider as general IT controls. It includes areas such as access controls, change management, system development, maintenance, and segregation of duties inside the IT systems. For example, if you are using SAP, segregation of duties is important, or Oracle, or any other ERP system. So it's one of the general IT controls. We can include segregation of duties to it. For example, disaster recovery planning is also one of the IT general control part of the subject. The aim of general IT controls is to mitigate risks related to unauthorized access, system disruptions, and data breaches, those type of things. On the other hand, if you are talking about information processing part, they aim to ensure the integrity and confidentiality and also availability of the information. You can have information in the company, but if you are getting information from, for example, budget department, different figures, from accounting department, different figures, it doesn't mean anything, you know? So integrity and also availability of the information should be intact. This, if we call it the information processing part, these are the controls that we can say. The purpose of information processing controls is to guarantee that the accuracy and the security of the data. Whenever or wherever you get the information, it should be accurate and secure.
Okay, so it's basically one is very general, another one is specifically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can say one of them is the general package of the IT. The other one is the inside of IT. I mean, if you say, for example, if you are using SAP, SAP should be secure. SAP should be used by every person every employee in the company, and everybody has access and stuff like that. Segregation of duties. But inside that SAP, the knowledge and the information inside the SAP is related to information processing.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's how it is.
Okay.
So my third question, sir. How does the internal control system helps to prevent fraud or error from happening in a real case scenario? Probably we can take an example, sir, from your experience that you have worked before.
Yeah. Sure. I talk about the fraud cases a lot. Fraud prevention is important part of our job. It's not our main responsibility to fight fraud as internal auditors. There are certified fraud examiners in those cases, but one of our responsibilities is to fight it effectively, especially in the internal control part of the system in the companies. So I can say there are four main superpowers, if I tell you in that part. One of them is, as I mentioned, segregation of duties.
Okay.
As everyone knows, if you give one person too much power, things can get complicated.
Exactly.
In any case, in the government also it is like that.
I think, politicians is one of the example, right?
Exactly. In the companies, it's the same. So what we do, we try to assign different tasks to different employees. it becomes harder for bad guys to pull off fraudulent activities. For example, separating the roles of initiating, authorizing, and recording transactions, for example, it makes it tough for the fraudsters to do sneaky things, you know. So one of our superpowers to prevent fraud is segregation of duties. The other one, another superpower is authorization and approval processes, of course. These are like guardians that watches the transactions and the activities. They establish clear rules for approving things. It can be payments, it can be purchases, it can be anything, making sure that legitimate and authorized actions are allowed in the company. If upper management assigns a manager, a director, or somebody to do something, they should be authorized within the limits. So if this is working accurately, we can prevent unauthorized employees from taking advantage of the resources of the company.
Yeah.
The third superpower is physical controls, of course. If you do, you can, whatever you do, you have to go and physically check everything, you know. So think of these controls are as the bodyguards of the valuable assets. Because every company has assets. Some of them are tangible. We can, some of them are intangible. Yeah, you can touch them, some of them, but some of them are intellectual properties and those type of things. So they use physical measures like locked storage areas, access control systems, security cameras, and regularly inventory checks to keep these assets safe from thefts or damage or any unauthorized access. So bad guys won't stand a chance against such tight security if you establish a security like this. So physical controls are important. And the final superpower is monitoring and review. Whatever you do, if you do these first three superpower perfectly, if you don't monitor them, if you don't review them, it's meaningless. So you cannot set everything right and leave.
Yeah.
So you should monitor and review periodically. These controls are the detectives of the organization, always on the lookout for any suspicious activities. It can be fraud, or it can be error, it can be some mistakes and stuff like that. So they monitor financial transactions. Those monitoring and review should do financial transactions, processes, and internal control activities. Those type of things should be monitored and reviewed. So by doing all of these things, you can catch any anomalies, errors, or signs of fraud. So once you spot something fishy, you investigate it, right? And then take corrective actions. That's after we do, that's the thing, you know?
Yeah. So basically, these 4 superpowers. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, now we're going to lead to my next question, which is the difference between a direct control and an indirect control. So, is this similar to the question that we were talking about just now, question number 2, or is it going to be a bit different?
No, I mean, there are some differences between direct control and indirect control, because direct control involves active and immediate involvement of managing activity, making decisions and supervising tasks. If an employee doesn't do anything, you go and do it with him and stuff like that. But indirect control is, on the other hand, relies on establishing systems, guidelines, delegation to influence, and control outcomes without direct involvement to day-to-day operations and those type of things. Let me give you an example. For example, if you are a parent, you want to teach your child how to ride a bike. So the parents normally holds on the back of the bicycle, providing direct support and guidance, and actively steer the bike and help the balance of the child. and adjust the speed as needed. And this example is direct control. But indirect control, same parents can tell the child how to develop his independence or decision-making skills. Instead of directly controlling the bike, the parent can give a child instructions how to ride it, emphasize safety guidelines, puts a helmet and the knee pads and stuff like that for protection. And the parent also then steps back and see the child how he is doing. If he is doing something wrong, he can interfere and do something like this, do something like that. This is indirect control of things. If I can give you an example.
That's a very simple and easy example, right? So that's
exactly.
Indirect control. Yeah, that's amazing. Now, sir, I'm going to go to my next question. Yeah, so this one I think will take a little bit of time because you are going to explain to us the experiences of your work in different industries, because I believe you have worked in different industry, textile and all of that, right? So in terms of control testing for the main systems that we learn here in ACCA would be sales, purchases. Then we have payroll, we have inventory, bank and cash, as well as last one, non-current assets. So what would be your input on that, sir? What are the examples you can share with us?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these are the systems that you are describing. Every company has it.
Yeah.
I worked in many companies and in different sectors. While there are some minor differences, basically, I didn't see any major difference in those type of systems. I mean, sales are sales everywhere. Whatever you sell, you make the sale, but sometimes you sell a computer software, sometimes you sell a car. Sale is a sale. There is no difference about it. And also the purchasing is the same. Whatever you do, you purchase and you process something and then you sell something. So sometimes you purchase raw materials, sometimes you purchase merchandise and put some profit in it and you sell it. So basically there is no difference. In the simple terms, for a company, I can tell you that there are some inputs and these inputs are processed internally, and then there are outputs, of course. So they used to say to us that if we control the inputs and the outputs, you can control the whole business. But however, since the time changed, it has been seen that over time that you should also keep the processes under control within the company, not only inputs and outputs. You should also control the processes, inside processes. If you add value to something before you output it, so you have to control that too. So they used to say, if you control the procurement, for example, and also the sales, you can control the whole picture, but it is not like that. So we know that in order to be effective, you should also control the internal part of the job. So I can tell you that sales system, for example, payroll system, let's say payroll system is same everywhere. The internal control parts, internal control points you should assign to payroll system is same. Whatever you do, I mean, if you can, if you, for example, if you have 100 employees or 10 employees or 1,000, 10,000 employees, nothing changes, you know? So everything is the same. The problem is here, what are you putting inside as an internal control point? As if, like I told you, the segregation of duties. Let's say, for example, who is preparing the inventory timesheet and who's approving it, and then who is releasing the payroll to the bank system and those type of things. Segregation of duties and also approvals, also important. They are both important. So I can tell you, you asked me about my experiences,
Yeah.
different industries in those type of systems. The systems are the same. Only the business is changing a little bit, but mostly the control is the same. So, for example, I'm telling some of my friends, if, for example, if you are a salesperson, if you are working for a cosmetics company, you sell cosmetics. So if you, for example, if you change your job, you went to a car company, automotive company, so you sell cars there. There's nothing changed. You are selling things, but the merchandise you are selling is different. That's the only different part.
Oh, yeah. When actually when I talk to you, sir, it's actually comes down to the same thing, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
I think it's just the business nature of the company changes. One sells
Exactly.
one. Yeah.
Exactly. The way of doing business of the companies, the culture, and
Yeah.
these are the changing parts. But the processes are the same.
Okay. Okay. Makes a lot of sense. I have one
Exactly.
question, sir. But before going to my last question, one question actually pop up to me. I just want to ask, as an internal auditor, right, sir, for you personally, when you were working as an internal auditor, what were the challenges you faced, and how did you
Hmm.
address the challenges?
I see. I see. I mean, internal audit is is how do you say? How can I say? It's an independent job.
Yeah,
We are not inside the circle, but we are
but
not outside the circle at the same
exactly,
time.
right? I think
I
that's
mean,
how I always tell to my students, like, internal auditors are independent, but they are inside the company.
exactly,
Right?
exactly. Yeah. For example, if there is any marketing decision, for example, they want your company wants to go to a new market, new country, for example, to sell
Okay.
something, and they have marketing people, they have sales people, they have top management people. They all sit and decide how to do things, how to sell their who to sell, and those type of things. But for us, for example, we tell them whether it is feasible or not. Please do a feasibility report. Uh, then you decide whatever you do. I mean, we are just recommending those type of things as internal auditors. Besides our regular works, our consulting part is also important. But normally, of course, you ask me about what is the approach of internal audit. The most important part of our profession is to be good human relations. We have to maintain good human relations with the employees. I mean, they can come to us
When you
anytime
have
they
any
like.
problem.
They can consult us anytime they like. They should like. I mean, it shouldn't be somebody who's be afraid of
Yeah.
inside the company. I mean, there's a prejudice. They say that we are the police of the company. No, it's not. We are not the police of the company. Of course, we have some part, but only 20% of our job is to chase the fraudsters and look for the risks and those type of things. But
Mhm.
80% is to improve and work with the normal departments, because we are in the same ship. You know, if we interfere a lot, if we block their work too much, so their line of work doesn't work efficiently. So we have to help them as well as we have to control them.
Yeah. I think it should work hand in hand, I guess.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So, with regards of challenges is as an internal auditor, basically, it's basically
As a challenge, I can tell you that it's the main challenge after 25 years of my experience is to maintain the sincerity with the other employees. I mean, you can be friends, you can go out together to lunch, you can have fun together, you can joke together, whatever, but we have to maintain a balance between what you are doing as a job and with your relationships with them. I had an experience, bad experience, 20 years ago. I had a close friendship with the finance manager at that time. We were going out, we were seeing each other as the families and stuff like that. But when it comes to my work, I went to audit him, for example, one day. I asked for some files, for some documents and stuff like that. He told me that there's no need for you to check them because they are all okay and stuff like that. And I said, no, let me see them. But he told me that you don't believe me, you don't trust me and stuff like that. So that's the main problem of our work. So we have to keep the balance between those type of relationships. We can be friends with them, but they should know that our job to control everything. That's the biggest challenge, I can say.
I think so. That's a totally different perspective for an external auditor, because by law you cannot be close with your client, right? It's a threat. By law you have threat of independence. So people just don't like the external auditors.
No, we are in the same company. I mean, the purchasing department sits behind me, for example. Accounting department is there. So we are working together. We see each other every day. We know what our operations are, what our challenges are. If something goes wrong, everybody can hear anything. So if your relationship with them should be a balanced way,
So how do you overcome that, sir? How did you overcome that challenge when you have this? Right.
That was a big one. That time, so I learned a lesson that I should be a friend with somebody, but I should give a message to anybody I'm getting close with inside the company that if it comes to my job, I will. There is no boundaries there. There's no boundaries there. I cannot limit myself there. So I learned myself. That time I was a rookie. I was only 3 or 5 years old that time. So then my manager that time, they told me that you should do this, you should do that and stuff like that. So I said, okay, I learned my lesson.
Okay. That's amazing, sir. Thank you so much. So my last question for today. If anyone aspires to be an internal auditor, what are their practical steps to work on now itself? Let's say they are a student, right?
What do they do? I mean, I can give you two advices. I mean, in general, I can give you two main advice. First of all, gain the relevant education and knowledge. That's the first step. Consider obtaining certifications such as certified internal auditor and those type of certifications, which is our important in our profession, is highly recognized in the industry, of course. The second one, I can tell you to look for the practical experience, gain practical experience in auditing or related fields. Look for internship, for example, opportunities in auditing firms or internal audit departments of the companies and those type of things. Because we, as internal auditors, I can tell you that we know everything about the company because we are going everywhere in the company. We know accounting, we know sales, we know inventories, we know warehouse, how to, every operation we know inside the company. But in order to examine them in order to find out what is wrong going on, you have to have some experience. So knowledge is sometimes is not enough. So you have to gain some experience. So the last thing I can tell you that whatever you do, I can say, pay attention to human relations. Of course, internal control systems are important, but we are dealing with people. Let's not forget about it. Internal auditors rely on effective communication to gather information, to convey audit findings, and recommend improvements. That's all about human relations. So if you have strong human relations, if you have those type of skills, so you can communicate clearly, you can listen actively. That's also important. And understand the perspectives and the concerns of the others, because we are not alone who is going to fix things, you know. We have to listen the problems. We have to listen the other point of views of the people, our shareholders in the company. Like, for example, if a purchasing manager has concerns, has some deficiencies about in his system, but he's telling us how to fix it. For example, his opinion. He's telling us. We have to listen to it. You know, we don't. If it is not exactly, it is not always similar by the book. You know, you cannot read the book and apply it all the way, and you cannot avoid that human part. You have to listen. One of the important parts of our profession is listening. So all I can say, according to my experiences of 25 years, if the technical part of the job is 40%, I can say the human relation part is 60%.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. 40%, anybody can learn it. Anybody can go to school or take some courses, or you can learn it. The technical part, you can learn it. But human relations, it will take time.
I totally agree with that. I think, sir, it's not only in this field. I think every field, it's a major part is the human relation, right?
Exactly.
I think that's a very beautiful thing. Even I am learning a lot about human beings, how to engage, how to understand them, and all of that. Yeah, you have beautifully said, sir. Thank you so much for all the questions and the answers.
No problem.
Do you have final words, sir, you want to share with the working adults out there, or the students who are just joining into this field, or fresh graduate?
I mean, internal audit profession is a good profession. I mean, if they want to, look for their future, for example, you can be internal auditor for some time, and you can switch the profession inside the company. It's easier because that time you will have some time to learn everything in the company, and you can choose according to your character, according to your wishes. For example, if you want to be a finance manager, you can be a finance manager. That time it will be better for you because you will know everything about the company, how the company works, you know. It will be easier for you. So my advice is you can be internal auditor. If you don't like internal audit, you can switch anytime you like.
Okay. Yeah. That's amazing, sir. I think that sums up the whole entire session for today. I'm really, really grateful to have you in my session. I really learned a lot. I hope the audiences will also learn a lot. Is there anything else, sir? Do you want to wrap it up?
No, thank you very much. I was excited a little bit that time. My language can be mixy a little bit, but sorry for that. But I think I expressed myself so everybody can understand it, especially the newbies and the rookies and those type of new students who is going to the profession, who wants to go to the profession, what are they going to deal with? They have an idea, I think. I guess.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed today's session.
Thank
So
you very much.
I'll meet you again probably with another topic very, very soon.
I hope
Thank you
so.
much
I
for
hope
your
so.
time. Yeah.
I hope so.
Take care, sir. Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.